Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to be talking about paper miniatures. That's right, I said it, paper miniatures. As you know, I'm really getting excited about my Traveler game and the streams we're doing here. Now, I've decided I was going to go ahead and do some paper models. And I wanted to do this video to show how to do paper models. This is the second technique. I showed you one way to mount it on backer board. I found out that technique is not going to work for me in the long run. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, as an example, these Extra Stellar. That's their series from, you can see down here, Ogum Arts Games. I think it's David Ogum is the guy that does the artwork. And yeah, right there, David Ogum. And I wanted to show you something unique or something I didn't know about models until I started playing around with some of David's stuff. Now, I downloaded this from Drive-Thru RPG. I think it was $1.50 or something, $1.85 or something like that for this page. And I was thinking to myself, well, that kind of sucks, you know. I'm only getting like 12 figures for like $1.95 or something like that. Well, he does give you a second sheet of models, which I saved somewhere else. But that second sheet is nothing to write home about. But this is something to write home about. Right here, this little icon right there, that shows layers. And this page has multiple layers. And there they are. And if you look in there, you see little eyeballs. Those are the ones, that's what you can see on the page. If I unclick text, all the text disappears. Right? All the erroneous text that you do not need when you print this. When you print this, you don't need all that. Save you some ink. Unclick it. Okay, that's not really the big thing. You can unclick. You can get rid of the base art too, and just have a blank page. No, okay. Let's do that. Let's bring the base art back. If you wanted grids and guidelines, you could add them, but I don't see anything appearing. These guidelines, like where to cut the page, feed this into the machine cutter. Okay, I don't get it. Okay, but the big thing is the colors. Okay, brown, orange, red, gray, white, green. Okay, you see how they're colored? None of these are checked. That's like the base color. But I like them to all be white. Boom, look at how they change. It still looks like good art. Right? Let's go ahead and zoom some of this in. Right? So take a look at that artwork. And now they're just white. Let's get to the right white and let's go with gray. Look at that, a gray. Not everything changes. See, like his sleeves, the guns, the boots, they don't change. It's just their clothes. Red's cool, right? Red. Nice. Maybe like green. It's kind of a neon. But you see, you got different colors. You got military green, neon. We got kind of like those lime green. You got green straps over here. So, in effect, I've got, like I said, the 12 models times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So whatever 12 times 7 is, that's how many models you actually have. And you can vary them, right? Okay. Now, before I continue, I do want to bring up a second PDF. Give me a second to find it. Drive-Thru RPG, Traveler figures. Okay, now these figures I downloaded, and they're actually labeled Traveler figures, right? So let's bring up some humans. Like Humanity, this set. I did download this set. This set has kind of a computer graphics look to it. It's got kind of a digital rendered, And my buddy Mike said, I don't like those. And I said, come on, man, they're cool. But then I dug a little deeper. Okay, so you see these models? They're made to be cut out in squares, which makes them a lot easier to cut out, I'm going to tell you. But you can get the... Okay, let's go here. See, like these guys have the dark outlines around the figures, and these don't. So they go with the thin outlines. But you also can get it where it's a trifold, and you make like a little, almost a, like a three-sided figure. Okay, but there's still a downside. I wish I could put both of these models side by side, but you can kind of see just from looking at it that these models are only this big, right? Or better yet, they're only that big. And when you go here, these models, that would put those models at about this big. These models are a good 5 millimeters bigger, right? But I like them. They're also hand-drawn, right? They're hand-drawn. They're not cartoony, but they are animated. Some people like the realistic look. I'm not sure if I do. And I think they're too small. So I'm going to have to take these, which it's too late. I've already printed them on some cardstock, but I think I'm going to have to upscale them. I didn't realize how small they were until I printed them and looked at them. I took the models. I printed them on a 110 cardstock. Now this 110 cardstock, as you might have seen in my previous video, I had some gray, like pastel cardstock that I thought was white. I just bought it and without even looking really. I mean, it was my fault for not looking. But today I went and made sure I bought some specifically white. I double checked or triple checked it to make sure it was white. And it's 110 cardstock. You get 250 sheets for like $20 at Office Depot. Yeah, so that winds up being only 8 cents a sheet. And I'm putting 12 figures on a sheet. So that's less than a penny a figure. And I can print 1 million of these figures. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you what I've done. I cut out the top and then the bottom. So I separated the top and the bottom. This is the bottom. Now normally what you would do is take a metallic ruler. You're going to make sure you line it up properly on the fold line. And he graciously provided me with a fold line. Now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to drag it across the paper, not cutting it all the way through. Okay, that is called scoring. So that's going to score the paper, and when I go to fold it, you'll see that it'll fold right on that score line without any trickeration. Okay, and I made sure that I stayed on the straight line. Now I use the I think it's new, but it's called Z, the Z X-Acto knife blade, the Z like zebra. It's golden. You can kind of see the golden tint to it. It's extremely sharp and extremely durable. I got 5 blades for like $3. So I'm going to glue it together like that, but I don't want any excessive waste or any, I don't need to glue all this extra paper together. So I'm just going to make my own line across the top here. And I'm going to cut all the way through. Okay. That should have cut all the way through. Get that off to the side. So there we got the back of our models. We got the front of our models. And we've got the score line. So now I'm going to take some tacky glue, some Aleene's tacky glue, which is a really thick white glue. And getting the air bubbles out. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to kind of just zigzag it along the paper a couple of times. Now this is where a paper towel might come in handy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my glue applicator, my Mark I glue applicator, and I'm going to move it around. Basically getting rid of all the thick glue spots. And I'm going to get it close to the edge. Or go over the edge onto the cutting board. Whoa, didn't mean to do that. This glue is extremely thick. It's obnoxiously thick, actually. Get out of the way. And I'm going to move it around so that it covers the entire... And I'm only doing it on one side. I think that's not enough, actually. I want the glue to be... I want the page to be just a little wet, but not excessively so. There we go. Just give me a little extra glue. Try to get it down to the seam and up to the corners and up to the edge of the paper, getting rid of any bumps or air bubbles or anything like that. Perfect. Now what I do is just fold it over. And I apply a little bit of pressure, not a whole lot. Now I'm going to clean my finger. You can see the glue is starting to warp the page. Don't worry about it right now. And then I'm going to clean the glue off of my board here. Clean, done. Okay. What I use is my Mark II glue applicator, my squeegee right here, and I apply pressure against the paper. And I get any glue, any bumps in the paper, notice how it flattened out, any bumps in the paper, I'm pressing it so that it basically disappears. But there wasn't any in there anyway. Okay, so then I take this piece right here and I'm going to put something flat on it, possibly this. I'm going to lay that flat on it, and then I'm going to apply some pressure. I usually use my tacky glue bottle, and I'm going to let that sit there and dry probably for a good 30 minutes. All right, but luckily I'm not going to make you wait for that, because I have already done this earlier with these figures. Okay, with the top half. There was two halves. That's the bottom half. This is the top half. I'm going to go ahead and cut these miniatures out while you watch. X-Acto knife, super sharp. Got it. Now I printed, again, remember, I print the ones with the extra thick black border. That way, if I mess up, I try to stay like in the middle of the black border, so it gives me more wiggle room not to cut the actual picture. All right, and then I also use an outward cut. So like if there's anything, I cut outwards. Like his hand, I'll cut from his thumb out. One good thing about the paper models that I've noticed, and you would probably notice this as well, they're already colored. I don't have to paint them. Okay, and then I got that little section there. Maybe I didn't cut it all the way through. Okay, and you can see how it kind of form fits right there. Now let me continue on. Got that little piece of the hand off. Get rid of that little piece. And there's a little fuzz there. Don't worry about it. Over his head. By the rifle. Or laser, or whatever that is. And you can see that this is the most time-consuming portion of making this model, is the cutting it out around the edge. It's got a little holster there. Okay, that should be fully cut. Yes, yes. Okay. All right, now he's fully cut out. Now there's some problems with this guy, just the way he is. You can see a little bit of white fuzz right there. You can see some white fuzz right there. You can just basically use your X-Acto to trim up the little extra hairs. Just cut them off, right? Just to get those little extra hairs off of there. Be careful when you're using an X-Acto knife, especially with these Z knives, because they're like super sharp. So just be careful with them. Okay. Whoop. There's a part right here by his gun and his shoulder and his elbow and all that. Okay. So I got most of the fuzz off. But you can tell that if you had this on the table, if you're looking at it from the side, you'd be able to see like a white edge. You know, we got to get rid of that. That white edge is just no bueno. So, Sharpie, simple. Take a Sharpie and just go around the edge. Basically, I'm just drawing along the edge, turning the paper that's exposed from my cutting white. I mean, turning the white to black. See how that's white? See how that's black? Got it. And remember, the outer edge of the model that you cut out had a black shadow. Well, this black edging blends right in with that black shadow, and it doesn't take away from the model. It actually enhances it. Makes it look more pronounced. I trim the base as well. I mean, might as well, since I'm here, might as well do it, right? So everything on the model is blacked, edged, trimmed, whatever you want to call it. Just inspect it, see if there's any white exposed. If there is, just touch it up. If not, that model's done. Okay, so there you go. You've got a miniature figure. He's paper, but that's okay. He looks really good. You got a front and a back, and then all you need now is one of your Litco bases that you have, which has a curved slot in it. It's an acrylic curved, it's 3mm curved slot. Then you take your guy here. Now, what I'd like to do is put the forward facing of the curve to the front of the model, and you put him in so if it was a bigger model and the paper had to bend, you want it to bend with the front here and then the back on the inside, right? Okay. And there you go. Whoops, can't see that. And there you go. You got a miniature figure that you can use. Now these are 1-inch squares. There's a 1-inch square. I have another one that I did earlier off camera. Right? Looks like a little Jedi. But yeah, that's not going to be like a lightsaber. It's just going to be a sword, you know. She's got her hand up like she's doing a forced grip or something on somebody. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's 2 figures, and they probably cost me 2 cents each. Yeah, the most expensive part of these models would be the Litco bases, and those only cost me about 75 cents each, something like that. So, and these are reusable. So if I needed a guy that looked like this, I would just put him out, and then if I needed a girl like that, I could always just unplug him, and I could take her and put her in there. And there you go. Now, what I've also kind of noticed through use, if I use the same figure a lot, like maybe it's a player character, and their figures get bent in the curve and they kind of stay that way, what I would do is I would alternate, maybe go back the opposite way a couple of times, or, you know, when you need to, just so it'll grip the base better. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and checking out this video on paper miniatures. I hope that helped you understand how you could go ahead and get into some paper miniatures. And thank you for coming out and watching my stream. If you want to like and subscribe to the channel, please do. And I'll see you in the next one.